So let's stop there and let's open up for questions. Yeah.
What's the joke of the test?
The joke of the test. Since that time, I've got a much better joke for maths, which many of you have heard. I usually tell it to kids, but I think you can understand it. 26 sheep in a field, 10 die. How many survive? What do you think?
26.
Oh, yeah, oh, okay, you've heard it before. This is my, yeah, you know it's a trick question. Okay, another one which is much easier. Yeah, 26 sheep is what I said, but people always hear 26. So they say 10 die, so 16 survive. But what I said was 26 sheep. That's why they died. 10 died. They were sick. I'll try another one. How many seconds in a minute? Seconds in a minute? Yeah. How many minutes in an hour? Another 60. How many hours in a day? How many days in a year? Not a leap year, just an ordinary year. So how many seconds are there in a year? Not oh, that's not a number. The answer is really easy. How many seconds in a year? The answer is 12. January the 2nd, February the 2nd, March the 2nd, May the 2nd, May the 2nd, June, July. So when you, now many of you got that one, it made you laugh. So even a maths thing is never a problem. It's like seeing a funny answer, a nice solution. That's how life works. So people are far too serious in life. Do you think so? If you have a sense of humor and you make a joke about something, people laugh, and it don't matter what culture you come from, they laugh together. That's why laughter is a beautiful way of creating harmony. If there was more fun and games, people would be able to work together much more harmoniously. And working together harmoniously is really, 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 really important. Okay, next question. Yeah.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Siblings, brothers and sisters.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, yes, I can. How can you encourage siblings to love each other? Can you crack a joke about siblings? There's one joke which I love to say about the English. I can say this because I am English or was English or half English or something. There was this posh English lady, and when she became pregnant, after 9 months, you could see that she had something inside of her, and after uh, was it 10 months, she still hadn't given birth. After a year, she hadn't given birth. After 2 years, she hadn't given birth. Because she was so posh and snobby, she never told the doctor what the problem was. And after 10 years, she still hadn't given birth. 20 years, 25 years, she still hadn't given birth. Only then that one of the doctors saw there's something weird going on. So she put her under anesthetic, gave an operation, and opened up her womb. And they found out the reason why she'd never given birth. She had twins, two young men. After 25 years, they were now actually grown up. So these two young men were very polite, very posh. They were wearing a nice suit, a nice bow tie, and nice shoes and a bowler hat. And one was saying to the other, after you, Claude. No, 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 I insist. After you, Percy. No, 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 no. After you, Claude. No, no, no. after after university. That's politeness, isn't it?
In England.
In England, why not other people? Now, strange enough, I'm going on a tangent as I usually do. When I was in Thailand, I found a lovely monastery where I could stay by myself for about 6 months. And during the hot weather, it's so dry up in the mountains, I put a little bowl for the birds. And the birds would come to drink and bathe. You've probably done that over here in England. But over in Thailand, I was in a hut close by and I could see through a knot hole in the wood. The birds queue up every afternoon for some drink and a wash. And the strange thing was, this was in north of Thailand. They always lined up in a queue. I've never seen that in England anymore. When you're waiting for a bus or a train, do people stand in line these days? Do they?
Yes,
Honest?
mostly.
Really? In Birmingham? Yeah. Yes. But the birds do. These were birds of different species. And then, of course, there'll always be one bird who'll try and jump the queue and get in the water bath first. And all the other birds would get out of the queue and they beat up that bird who jumped the queue. And after that bird flew off, all the birds would go back in line exactly as they were before. I thought that was amazing. Never seen such culture before in birds. Actually, maybe I have to watch a bit more how people behave in England these days. I know when I was a young kid, that didn't happen. Anyhow, where did I was going with that? What was the question anyway?
About the siblings getting on
Oh,
together.
siblings, yeah, siblings getting together. So siblings getting on together so you can actually respect one another. Look, siblings getting on together. Why is it that we don't get on? Is it jealousy?
They look so loving.
It always looks so lovely. You two siblings there.
Funny.
Yeah, don't you love each other? You better say yes.
They do.
So, how many sisters have you got? One sister, one brother. Where's the brother? School, not at this time of the day. Sorry? Boarding school, okay. But you only got one sister. You've not got no spares. If you had a spares, you wouldn't need to be so kind to the one which is sitting next to you. You've got to love each other because if any one of you gets injured or dies, would you miss them? Yeah. So always remember that and just get on together. Learn how to be kind together. You're a couple of years older? 2 years older, yes. So look at her as someone who can, if you're kind to her, can do your homework for you. Is that a good idea? She agrees. At least can help. And you can also get her out of trouble sometimes. Look after each other, be kind to one another, care for one another. Because, as sisters, or as your brother, whoever he is, they're going to be brothers for life, sisters for life. I said I got a brother, he was a banker, and I was a monk. And all those early years, he would say he never told his boss at work he had a brother who was a Buddhist monk with no money at all. That wouldn't have gone down well in his career path. But after a while, they respected me. You're a Buddhist monk, even though you live a different type of life, still you have much wisdom how to use money. In other words, we don't use money. That's a very peaceful way. We let other people make those decisions. whatever happens, it's always good enough. One thing I've always noticed, myself and other people you've counselled, that the amount of money you have is not the most important part. The most important part is how you use whatever money you have. Bring you lots and lots and lots of happiness. Or if you want lots of money, it makes you so miserable. You never have enough.
Ajahn, there's a question on live.
Oh, yeah.
Shall we do it?
Get on.
All right. So, question from the live stream, that I have a lot of ill will towards people in my life who currently go out of their way to make it unpleasant. Nothing in the Buddhist teachings has helped me so far. Any advice?
Okay, instead of letting people go out of their way to make you miserable, you should ordain as being a Buddhist monk. Then they can't make you miserable. How can you make a Buddhist monk or Buddhist nun miserable?
Well, that's easy because we don't suddenly change when we put the robes on.
Oh, we can change it.
Do we?
Yeah. In other words, you have no ego, so any words of complaint or abuse don't work. Like this, I was saying yesterday, the group of 14-year-old girls in Perth, I gave a talk at their school. And those 14-year-old girls, I saw them the next day. They said, "Oh, thanks for giving a talk at our school yesterday." I said, "I'm surprised you still remember me." And they said, "We'll never forget someone whose surname is Bra." And I said, "It's not Bra, it's Brahm. There's an M on the end." So that's one of my nicknames. Ajahn, no, Bra.
So, but how does this person overcome resentment towards the people that are harassing them? Because they're not a monk and they probably don't want to be. Who knows?
Well,
Or they might be a woman.
okay.
I don't know.
Instead of getting resentful, a lot of times that, for example, when I was building a monastery, not building a monastery, we're having a big opening ceremony of our city centre in Perth, and we'd invited the Governor General to the ceremony and a few other dignitaries. I was in charge of arranging all the seats and everything. And then when the seats came, I wasn't there to check them. And when I actually saw them, they were all really dirty. And we'd had, I think, 8 chairs for the VIPs. And those 8 chairs, the legs weren't the same size. They wobbled. At least over here, all your chairs are reasonably comfortable. They don't wobble. I said, "We're going to have the governor coming tomorrow. If he falls off his chair, imagine what the newspapers would say about that. That'd be the end of our temple in Perth." So I quickly rang up the organisation which hired his chairs to us, and I said to them, "They need to be changed. We've got the governor of Western Australia coming tomorrow and a few other dignitaries. Please, we can't have the governor falling off one of your chairs." He said, "No, it must be some big mistake. I'm sorry about that. I'll have the guys come and change the chairs straight away." So she called, the guys who were on that crew, where they were on a Friday afternoon. They'd gone off to their office, the pub. And so when they were told, "Get back to work, the Buddhists need new chairs," they weren't happy. They weren't happy at all. But anyway, they turned up. I was waiting for them this time. I had to check to make sure they got the right chairs. And they came in a big van, a big truck, a big lorry, as they say over here. And when that lorry turned the corner, one of the guys jumped off the truck. He was really angry and he had his fist in front of him. He came running down the road ahead of the truck. "Where's the bloke in charge? I want the bloke in charge." And I went out to him and said, "I'm the bloke in charge." And he put his fist this far from my nose. And you could smell on his breath was a lot of alcohol. In fact, that's the most alcohol I've breathed in since becoming a monk. But I'm telling that story because what happened next was wonderful. If you want to have a fight, there's something which you call, like, please excuse the language, foreplay before you can actually start the fight. Yeah, 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 until you actually have the fight. I know that. So I wasn't going to even go any further. He was had his fist in front of me. I wasn't afraid, honestly. I just stood there. I wasn't smirking. I wasn't afraid. I was just looking at him. He did not know what to do next. A whole series of threat, 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 and then a punch. Never happened. And all this time I had many of my helpers that were looking at me. Thank you for helping, I said to them afterwards. None of them did. They were hopeless. They didn't need to, but nevertheless, it was a good experience. I thanked them also for not interfering because it was totally under control and a very beautiful experience. He was looking at me. He didn't know what to do next. He was confused because in a conflict situation, when you don't follow the normal procedures, and there are normal procedures, the other person does not know what to do. And so because of that, he was standing there frozen. And I knew I had him totally in my power. He was stuck. And during that time, the truck had parked, and one of the other workers jumped out, came running towards us, put his hand on his shoulder, said, "Come on, let's unload the chairs and stuff." I said, "Yeah, I'll help you." So we did. No violence. It was just, I don't play that game. We play other games of kindness and peace and respect. It's amazing how much you learn as a monk, how to face someone who's obviously had lots of alcohol, is fist in your nose, ready to punch you, and he couldn't. How you can stop all of that silliness. Not that hard. Have you ever seen other people diffuse situations like that? And how impressive it is. You don't need to call police or call reinforcements. Just look at them, not threatening them, but not backing off. Okay, Nick.
Any more from here? If not, I'll do another live stream question.
Okay, yes.
But I need this one.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, you're in luck on the live stream. So let's see. All right, I'm not going in order. Dear Venerable, trying to be a serious practitioner in the path, lots of positives being achieved, but I need help with attachment to food. You're the best one to answer this, Ajahn.
I am not attached to food. I let it go every time when I go into toilet. Thank you for your response. But instead of being attached to food, I think you notice this today, there's something else which you really respect and honor. That is just the joy of the person who offered you that food. That's why even today, the last couple of days, we were staying in your parents' house. And the last thing I said to them before I left was, "Thank you for that delicious food you cooked." You always praise people, the little kindnesses which you receive. Do you like your mum and dad's cooking? You two in the front. Do you tell them? You get much better food next week if you praise them for what they do. Don't you like doing things which please other people? So you find out what people need, what they want, and you say, "Thank you for that." And you mean it. It's amazing just how much happiness you give them. They obviously enjoy it much more. being praised for all the hard work they do. And also you enjoy it much more because they do much better. So what is your favorite food? Pasta. You as well? Pasta? What? Okay, pasta's okay. Instead of saying it's okay, just tell your mum or your dad, pasta is, thank you so much for making that pasta. I can't go, I can't resist the opportunity to tell that story of that lady who came and sat next to me in the underground some years ago. She came and sat next to me. She said, "Are you a Buddhist monk?" I said, "Yes." She said, "A real Buddhist monk?" "Yes." He said, "Can you tell me something about Buddhism? I was always been very interested in Buddhism. What part?" He said, "No, reincarnation, rebirth." So I told a true story. There was an Italian man who came on one of my retreats about a month before that. And this Italian man came up to me and said he had a very weird meditation. In his meditation, it was like he saw this vision of himself as a piece of spaghetti. Sometimes you do have these visions in meditation as a piece of spaghetti. And then the next day, he had a vision of himself as a piece of macaroni. You think that's weird? It's obvious what it was. I said, this fellow was recollecting his past lives. Past lives. And,
But Ajahn, how do you overcome attachment to food?
but
Was the
it's
question.
just like that. We're not worrying about attachments. As a monk, as an abbot of a monastery, there was one of the monks who was a Japanese about 7, 8 centuries ago called Dogen. And when he built a monastery, it was one of the most one of the most coldest, windiest places in the whole of Japan, a Heiji monastery. And I remember going to visit there once. It was very ascetic. Everything was so tough. You had to get up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and work really hard. You had to bathe in 0-degree water. It was really, really harsh. But he said, except for one thing. He said, make sure the food in the monastery is plentiful and delicious. And I understood what he meant there. If you eat delicious food, you'll digest it. One of our monks had some trouble with his digestion, and the doctor, the specialist, told him to do this little scan, a barium meal, and eat a barium, it's kind of radioactive, and then scan to see where it's blocked when it goes through your system. And they said, first of all, we've got to make sure that this actually flows through your system. And then they made the appointment for him, which is really silly if it's a monk or a nun, in the afternoon. And the barium meal just sat in his tummy. It never went anywhere. And they thought, what's the problem there? It's because we only eat in the mornings as Buddhist monks or nuns. And so the stomach is actually used to not moving or doing anything in the afternoon. So the test was about to fail. And then they asked him, okay, please think about your favorite food and imagine it's the morning time. And once he started to think of his favorite food, then his stomach started moving and the barium actually moved as it would normally do. Monks and nuns, because of our food requirements about not eating at certain times of the day, sometimes your tummy doesn't even work in the afternoon or evening. It just still. And that proved to me just why we eat delicious food and why it's good for you. When I think of my favorite food, right, Right now, each one of you, can you think of your favorite food? Do you notice that saliva starts to come out of the little ducts in your mouth? Even just think about it or smelling it. Imagine you're smelling the most delicious pasta you've ever eaten. It actually gets all these juices in the body working, and that's how you can actually digest it. And there's just too many monks and nuns with bad digestions. A lot of times because we don't have much control over what we eat. It's put in front of us. So because of that, to make sure that we're actually looking after people, we make sure that we let people know, please give the monks and nuns food which they can digest. This is not craving or attachment. It's just looking after yourself. For years, I would eat anything which people gave me. One of the worst foods which I ever ate was, I was a vegetarian before I was a monk, number one. And one of the worst foods I ever ate was a frog on sticky rice. The frog, quite a big frog, boiled. No seasoning, no salt, no garlic, nothing, just like a boiled frog on sticky rice. I'm saying this to you to make sure that whenever you go to school, make sure you always pay attention to the biology teacher. Because I had, so when I had a frog on a sticky rice, that's all you had to eat, nothing else. That was one meal of the day. So I started eating the frog and the legs, but that's not enough to survive. So then I started picking at its organs inside. The monk next to me also started picking at the frog's organs, but he hadn't paid attention during biology class. He pressed the frog's bladder, and it still had urine in it, and that frog peed all over his rice. Have you ever had that? You don't want to either. So a lot of times, that to be able to keep the monks healthy. But over in KL once, people knew that I don't make these things up, that I have allergies. Strangely, I cannot eat apples. They always made me feel sick. Also, honey. I don't know why, but that also I can't digest. So people say, I'm just making this up because you don't like to eat that. I love the apples or honey. But on this one occasion, I've been eating so much different food, whatever people gave me. And I was on the stage like here, and I said, I really do need to go to the toilet. I said, no, just one more question. So I got up, projectile vomiting on stage in front of about 3,000 people. That's one really good way of proving your point. And there's video too. So I can always say, look, I don't make these things up. If you give me some things which I can't eat, then I can't eat them. So anyway, we're dealing with monks and nuns or with yourself. Keep yourself healthy. It's not attachment to food. It's just attachment to health. So you can eat whatever is offered, but some things you have to say no to. One more question, so I'm happy. Well, notice each one of you, you're just sitting there. Can you hear it okay? Do you want to hear it? That's the second question. Okay, let's have another question or complaint. Oh, the live stream, yeah. Yes. Thank you. Yes. How you do that? Is it like following precepts, follow truth, meditation, and a mix of those things? And I was really like people what we do daily to change our perspective. I think the habitual habits often brings back to what's called mindful practice. Yes.
Repeat the question.
I repeat the question. How in life can we actually change our perceptions so we don't just follow habits, we're actually much more mindful? Sometimes if you have a perception of, say, somebody you work with, somebody you see, even just smiling at them can really, really help. Yeah. I work with a few people. Yeah. Because even, that's what I've done many, 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 many times. Just walking, if I walk down the street or in public transport, even on the train coming here. This is one lady when I got on the train over in Chesterfield. We got off in Birmingham, and I smiled at her, and she smiled back. She was a middle-aged elderly lady, and she smiled back. Sometimes we're so afraid of smiling, but I already look a bit weird, so they realise if I'm smiling at them, I'm not going to ask for anything. It's just a nice little gift I can give. And a lot of times people feel afraid, and you smile. People who want something from you don't smile. So that's one way I try and help with this. And the other thing is seeing if you can associate with people who I usually don't associate together with, and listen to them. Not only listen to them, but kind of feel them, their um, emotional peace, emotional happiness. That's obviously something which I love doing. Each one of you sometimes. Have you seen that when I give a talk, I always look at you? The reason why I look at you is because you tell me some of the difficulties and problems which you may have. And if you're looking at me, I can see even a tiny bit of fear or boredom. That's usually when I tell a silly story or a joke or something. And that gets you all uplifted and together. A lot of times we're afraid of one another. Because we're afraid of one another, you may come from a different land, a different gender, a different sort of lifestyle. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. You've got another couple of minutes. You're safe. So it's nice to be able to laugh with one another, to smile with one another, and to be helpful to one another. It changes your perceptions of all other human beings. Is that true? But some of it's more coming away from self and moving towards the yeah. Kindness and empathy coming outside of self. Yeah. People around us, and obviously fear is a 21st century Malaysia. TV, media. Yeah. Indeed. I just was trying to think of a simile. And when I was at university, I was a Buddhist. My friends knew I was a Buddhist, a Christian friend, and he said he was going with his friends to the local mental hospital, Fulbourn, outside of Cambridge, to do some social work. That's what real spiritual people should do. They put me on the spot, so I decided to go with them, just to fly the flag for Buddhism. If the Christians could do it, the Buddhists could do as well. That's how I thought. And then what happened afterwards, that when I went there, I enjoyed it so much. It was working with people with Down syndrome. And you really got to understand them, appreciate them. And I really honestly enjoyed their wisdom. They had a different type of wisdom than I had. I remember going there one day in the afternoon, and one of them came running towards me. They put their hands around me to give me a hug. And I was afraid, please excuse me, anyone here, afraid of homosexuality. I was a heterosexual. I didn't understand it at the time. So being hugged by a man in public, I was really afraid of that at first. But then what he said to me afterwards, he said, "What's happened?" He could see me suffering. I had just broken up with my girlfriend the night before. How on earth did you know that? His emotional sensitivity was huge. And when I started to respect him for that, I loved associating with the Down syndrome people. In fact, I had many more. It's now called emotional intelligence. I had intellectual intelligence as a theoretical physicist, but they taught me so much more. They can pick it up. Other people couldn't. Later on, I was so much more supportive of LGBTQIA plus. Did I get them all?
Yeah, people.
Of people, yeah. No matter who you are. But at that time, they sort of opened my eyes to so much of the diversity and the beauty of diversity. I've never judged a person to say that they don't belong. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any one more question?
One more question? Did I answer your question, sir? Thank you.
Okay. Otherwise, should we get on the live stream? Or
Okay. Live stream, okay.
going. Okay. Can I have the mic?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The live streamers are in luck again. So, how can I deal with a general sense of inertness during the day, especially when there's a lot of work to do, which impacts my life, career, and family? So, dealing with inertness.
Inertness. Take a break. Respect inertia. Is that a good answer? Actually, it is. Because if you don't worry about things, you can put the burden down for a few moments and relax and give priority to just being here and being still. You'll find out you re-energize your mind. When your mind gets re-energized, you want to help and you know how to help, and you're much more efficient, whatever help you do. Sometimes that inertness, thinking it's too much work, it is too much at that particular time. A good example of that was this lawyer in New York who um, cleaned out a cupboard in his office, and he put a cushion in that cupboard, and whenever he gets stressed out, he goes in his cupboard. And when anyone calls up, I need to talk to you, the secretary has been trained to say, I'm sorry, not that he's in a meeting, he's in his cupboard. He does that because he's a much nicer lawyer after relaxing and resting. And he's got so much more energy. One of the reasons why people get inert, why we are not so interested, not go so much energy to get involved in the important things of our life, is because we're tired. And when we can overcome that, how many of you feel tired? Okay. Why? Because we don't know how to rest. That's a good way of resting. A lot of times we don't know how to rest. We don't know how to be still. I often say, the Brits, I was a Brit, why did the British Empire ever exist? The reason was because all of those administrators, which were sent overseas to places like Australia, they'd always take the culture of having a tea break in the morning, tea break at lunch, and tea break in the afternoon. They never ever worked, so many hours continuously. And I think that a lot of people don't realize the powerful psychological effect that had. You have a tea break in the morning and a tea break in the afternoon. When you can relax, you can actually re-energize. Why do we still do that in schools for children? We don't do that in offices. Why can't we do that? Have tea breaks. And because of the English had that, tea breaks, I think that's one of the reasons why the sun never set over the British Empire. Oh, come on. There's,
now, Ajahn.
because they don't have tea breaks anymore. Your bosses at work don't allow you. They've got to work. Come on, what are you doing having a tea break? So if you're not a tea break, okay, a coffee break or a meditation break, that's the best. You have a meditation break in the morning, meditation break in the afternoon. I'm sure that the British, well, not all of you are British, are you? How many Brits are here? Only one or two? Oh my goodness. Bring should put your hand up.
No.
But anyway, the idea of relaxing and resting is really important. Who was one of the other great empires? The Spanish? Siesta. Don't you think, is that a very good thing to have, siesta? How many of you can have a rest during lunchtime? Could you ever do that? If not, why not? It's a brilliant thing to do. These days we think we're wasting time. It's not wasting time. You're actually helping your brain recover from the difficult decisions you make in the morning or things you have to do in the afternoon. This is not a joke, this is serious. If you could do that, wind up already. Oh, okay. Okay. So
no, now you have to give a Dana talk.
Dana talk.
You're not supposed to say that.
I'm not. What she means to say is that the monastery which we're creating for women here in UK, in Oxford, it doesn't make itself. So we do need your help if you like to have a nuns monastery. There's lots of monks monasteries. Why can't we have monasteries for women? So I've worked my butt off to do that. I'm very happy. Sorry?
I'm just thinking we should introduce our girl.
Yeah, this is Anna Garricker, who is a photo Anna Garricker. No,
Oh,
no.
can I say? Can I say?
Well, she's actually ordaining as a Samanera, wearing brown. Now, when are you ordaining? Anna, come. In 2 days. You mean on Saturday? How many novice ordinations have there ever been in Anukampa? This is the first.
Yay.
You know why we chose Saturday? Have a look at her white clothes. They're getting dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. So when you have brown robes, you don't have to wash them so often. She understands what it means. It's not just that. It's once you become a nun, a bhikkhuni, I'm saying this, you can't say this, that you have wisdom, understanding, which I will never have as a monk. There are differences, and sometimes the emotional depths which you will have will be far greater. That's why we do need bhikkhunis as well as bhikkhus. Only having half the population and following this path never works. And how do you feel? You know, when you see monks giving talks, you don't see women giving talks, nuns, bhikkhunis. There's something terribly wrong about that. So that's one of the reasons why we make sure that whenever you see there's something wrong, we do something about it. We make sure that we solve the problem. And the very fact that you're clapped when you heard that she's going to be wearing brown robes in 2 days' time, that reveals how you really feel. Well done.
Mhm.
And maybe later on in your life, you can come and support her and maybe even become nuns yourself? Honestly, why not? I love this life of being a bhikkhu. To make that opportunity available for the other half of the population, women, is so a no-brainer. So it's great if you can support her. And one of the ways of supporting, we do have the dana box outside, that's a donation box. I'm just saying it obviously because I get tired of trying to go around the bush and say whatever support you can give. But it's wonderful if you, even just $1 or 50 cents, no, not in Australia
Maybe
anymore.
not in Australia.
It's wonderful whatever you can do. And that really helps us. Even I try and raise money, which whatever way I could. I tell the supporters, don't give money to the monks' monasteries. Monks' monasteries have got enough. Bhikkhuni monasteries don't. And I get nothing out of this. Okay. They're getting the donation.
Thanks, Ajahn, for coming and for giving a talk again. And yeah, for coming in that pure-hearted way, because I think you don't get anything like material out of any of this, except really nice food by my parents. But you didn't come for that, right? That was just a bonus. But I think what Ajahn Brahm gets and what I get for me, because I don't know about you, Ajahn, but nobody really wants to be in a leadership role. Nobody really wants all the work of being an abbot or an, I don't know, an abbot. Um, but there's such a great reward in that when we actually give our lives for something we believe in and for something really worthwhile. And I think, you know, this is how you brainwash me into doing it by showing me how happy you are. And there's something like, I think it's called something like freedom in commitment. There's a philosophical concept that committing to something in life actually brings a great deal of freedom because we stop dispersing our energies in different directions and we really pour it into something we believe in and something real, something ethical, of course, is the best of all. And I can say for myself that although it's been an incredibly difficult journey the last 10 years, trying to start a monastery and having basically nowhere to live until about 3 years ago. Although it's been really difficult and I have had a burnout along the way, I have had a lot of doubts, sometimes every day for months and months and months. Something in me continued because I knew how important this was. And I have to say, it's thanks to everybody's support, even if you've never met me or ever visited the monastery yet. It's thanks to the support internationally and also, of course, in the UK that we've been able to do this. Not one person, not 1,000 people, probably tens of thousands of people, maybe even hundreds, have contributed whatever they can in terms of financial support, support of food, support of robes, and support of time, you know, support of offering your skills as volunteers, and of course, your practice. So everybody has been involved. And I think, you know, we organize these things to support us directly, but also really to create community, which is something that is needed in these times more than anything, I think, because, you know, like one gentleman was saying, how do we have that faith in each other? Like, how do we reach out to each other and kind of create something different, especially amid so much fear and division and all the political upheaval that's happening in the world? And for me, the way is to get together and to create societies that are different and that are inclusive and that do welcome you, whoever you are. So that's what we're trying to do. And I guess I really want to thank you for your participation so far and also encourage you to stay connected with us, to get involved. It might mean coming to our online teachings on a Friday or Saturday. We do sutta discussions, we do metta meditation. It might be coming to more events like this or helping us organize things like this or getting involved as an admin volunteer. We need website volunteers. Anyone who knows how to build a nice, pretty website, because we've got one, but it's a bit old. What else do we need? People to send food and just people to really support what we're doing and hopefully benefit your own practice through being associated with us. So thank you very much. And to any young women or mediumly young, or I don't know, am I old now? I'm quite old now.
How old are you?
I'm 50. I have
50.
gravitas. I'm an adult, apparently. I feel like an adult now because I'm 50 years old. But yeah, even if you're 50, there's still an opportunity. But the longer you leave it, the harder it gets. So hopefully, with what we're doing, it will bring that option to women who might never have thought of the possibility to ordain. You can only make a choice for something, for a lifestyle that might really benefit you if you know that it exists. So that's one of the reasons we exist, so that you know that this could be a path for you. So however you want to walk on the path, carry on. And if monastic life is your calling, then hopefully we can continue to create opportunities for that. So yeah, I think that's all I want to say. Apart from you can find out more information outside. And as I said, we have to head off pretty soon. But yeah, there might be a chance to say hello to us just briefly at the end. And we'll be in Oxford tomorrow night. Is that right? Tomorrow night already. We'll be in Oxford to give a talk. And there is still a retreat of 5 days, followed by a weekend retreat. There's places in the weekend retreat this coming weekend in Oxford, or if you want, you can tune in live. So we have Tao, who's been helping us very much with the live stream. Keep it going a bit longer, and you can tune in live. I think it's on our website, the exact times. So, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and you'll get notified of that. So hope to see you somewhere soon. And thanks once again to Ajahn Brahm. Should we do the three big sadhus?
Sadhu.
Sadhu means
Sadhu.
awesome. Come on, let's
Three.
start again.
Okay.
All right, you have to like warm up. Okay.
Okay. Sadhu. 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 Good exercise.